right up to the bottom of the C-pillar and light the way along.
Get the power saw out, create a new bit of memorabilia, get rid of it. So that would be the quickest way to fix it. But ultimately, it'll take that car out of the race for any chance of a result. The amount of damage it now has.
Strategized their way into the lead of the race. The pit team and the management did their jobs, and then side-to-side contact.
Well, Max Hesse, meanwhile, is putting the pressure on Jules Gounon. I'm sure that's a sentence utter in this race, but nevertheless, that's the way it is for 5th and 6th position.
Gounon was the 21st fastest car on track on the previous lap. Max Hesse was the 4th fastest car on track on the previous lap. So there he goes, straight through. So Gounon knows that he's fighting with one hand tied behind his back right now. Hesse continues this march forward in this KRC BMW. What a debut he has had. Really impressed with him. He's gone toe-to-toe with some of the real big guns in GT racing. Never been here before. And continues his fight back. See, I told you they'd just cut it off, John.
Yeah,
it's like literally all gone.
I think they've just pulled the whole thing off. There is it is that part. So the line that is left, you can see the white chassis members underneath. That's the original body of the BMW M3. And that whole rear wing and three-quarter panel guard and part of the rear bumper, that is all one piece up to the bottom of the B-pillar and about just underneath the rear window level.
Jordan Pepper, who's co-driving with Kelvin Van Looder this weekend. I could see the disappointment. You just had that little bit of hope there, and it's the hope that kills you, hey?
Yeah, I mean, insane call by the team to get us in that position. We knew it would be tough, and that's what's frustrating. I think it was pretty clear that we had to save fuel, so I don't quite get the move that got put on there. It's not like it's last corner, last lap type of vibe. There's still 40 minutes to go, so it's just a shame to end our chances that way, to get taken out of what potentially could have been a win, a podium, a top 5, just a much better result than what it was looking like. So yeah, just a shame that how it ends with 40 minutes to go. Super proud of the team, super proud of Kelvin and Charles. Kelvin's done a hero stint there to get us in that position, so it's just a shame for him as well, so just got him forward.
You've won here with Jules before, obviously, so you've been teammates before, and now you've had a chance to see Kelvin, the two very aggressive guys. What did you make of Kelvin's defense as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's just, for me, the way I see it is Jules basically put himself in a position that if Kelvin moved, they were crashing, and it's cost him his race as well, if you look at the damage he's carrying as well. So, you know, it takes two to tango for sure, but at the same time, he was the one who was basically in control of it, and I feel he overstepped the mark today. But yeah, it's what it is. We're all racing, we're all trying to win this amazing race, and yeah, we obviously got to come back and try again.
Hard luck, mate. It's been great to have you back this year. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
And great to have him back indeed. Jordan Pepper, the first South African driver to win a major endurance race at Mount Panorama, and back in 2020 with Bentley, ironically with Jules Gounon as his teammate. Yeah. So with one car dispatched, now Bastian Goose is putting the pressure on Jules Gounon, who's back down to 6th place in a clearly quite wounded Mercedes-AMG. Porsche looking to get into the top 6 again.
10 seconds separate that top 6 at the moment. Craill with just under half an hour to go, 27.5 minutes.
And the other interesting stat that's turned out of this race by virtue of the race suspension and the way this has played out is that there's an amazing number of cars still on the lead lap of this race. Never been more than 8 cars on the lead lap of the finishing lap of 12 hours in its entire race history. And right now there's 13 of them. The depth of this field and the way that the safety cars and indeed that suspension have played out today as the two Porsches now get into it. So Ricardo Feller is going to take advantage of that little moment for Bastian Moose and friendly fire perhaps between the two of them. That's the off-road. It's the Dakar edition of that car. The Porsche's won on the Dakar before. He's going to try and do it again. And watch out for Daniel Serra in here in the Ferrari for a Rise Racing GT. More side-by-side. That's the 4th time it's been off and ski jump through there. This isn't the Winter Olympics, but he's doing a pretty good impression, and that's going to cost them massively.
really impressed with that front splitter.
Yeah,
of course.
it's very stout, isn't
And
it?
if it hasn't fallen off now, it's never going to fall off, because Ricardo Fella seems like he watched the sprint cars with you the other night, John, and was running up on the high line, had it up on the berm, but ultimately was a fast way to get up Mountain Straight. You can see here, side by side, Ricardo Fella. He's about the fourth time he's done that there.
He's going to complain there that he was run out of road. But as you said earlier on, you put yourself on the outside, you put yourself in danger.
Well, you put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
So you expect and hope for some racing room from the driver on the inside, but ultimately you put yourself in a dangerous position.
So Max Martin at the front of the field has pulled 1.2 seconds. The AMG number 888. She shares with Mick Grenier and Mauro Engel. What a trio of drivers that is.
One, and that's the big story here, isn't it? That while Maxime Martin has been here 4 times now, and Mick Grenier a couple as well, it's Mauro Engel who is probably the most well-known international that has come to these shores, and he's been coming here since 2014 and spent a season in Australia as the Porsche is going to have another look at Gilles Goudon. Remember, this is a supercar driver full-time for a year for Erebus Motorsport. So there's a connection here, a deep connection with this part of the world, and Bathurst has tempted and taunted Mauro for so long. Is the opportunity here for him today to win it. He's got to watch his co-driver to do the job. And usually it's Mauro behind the wheel in the closing stages of this race. And here goes Bastien Boost. This time it's a technical class of Gilles Goudon. And the absolute racing Porsche moves himself into the top 6. See if he can chase after Max Hesse, who's going to get further on the road. 7.5 seconds.
The red and white Ferrari looking to get involved in this. We know the AMG is quick though. Porsche on the right-hand side of the track, just a little bit of a defensive line there without compromising his entry in the Discover New South Wales Griffin's Bend. 6th position then for Absolute Racing, the number 911. Now, how far is Max Hesse up the road? That's 7.5 seconds, because Max is now only half a second behind Will Brown, who's 2 behind Augusto Farfus, who's 3rd for BMW, who's 2 seconds behind Dorian Boccolacci, who's 1.1 behind Maxime Martin at the front of the field. So the top 6 now, 13 seconds apart.
Don't think that Dorian Boccolacci hasn't given up on the green. No, he was the fastest car on track on the last lap. Only took 100, so the fastest 2 cars on track were the first 2, but it was the car that's in second right now that just took 100th of a second. And the last 2 laps in a row, Boccolacci has set that car's personal best sector across the top of the mountain. So he is having a big dip right now, a big go at the lead of the race. Martin still holds 1.2 seconds back to the Porsche in second place, and they have gapped Augusto Farfus in the 46 BMW. Boccolacci is not going to be content with just a bronze win and a second on the podium. He's daring to dream.
Sarah now takes up the cudgels on the number 75 Sun Energy Gilles Goudon car. Then he has to defend from Ricardo Fella down to the final corner, and again it's almost a bit of dirt tracking. Does he not learn? I mean, honestly, Ricky.
I'll tell you in 5 seconds.
E entusiasmo. È il piacere di navigare con il wifi più veloce d'Italia per NPerf nel 2025.
Ma veloce?
È semplice, trasparente, per sempre. È Iliad.
So now Fella is going to move to the outside because there's no chance. Well, he has actually. Sarah gave Fella a look at the inside, but backed himself that he was going to brake late enough that Fella wasn't going to get up the inside.
Well, we've seen Porsches going round the outside at Griffin's. Oh, not there. Even I know that.
No, he was fine. There's nowhere there getting the dirt there at the cutting, so that wasn't going to be an option. Wow. The absolute, total, complete and utter commitment of these internationals never ceases to amaze. 250 laps completed in this race. We posed the question earlier on today, what would our target be in this one? Well, with 20 laps remaining, it's going to be somewhere in the 260s. certainly isn't the top end of the scale when it comes to just 12 hours. So the distance record in this race is 323 laps. 1.2. And to your point, there is absolutely no reason why Dorian Boccolacci should not give up, because he has every bit an opportunity to win this race for high-class racing, and that is Kerron Lee watching on. He, of all of the unheralded performances today, and I feel like there's a lot of stories that have flown very much under the radar, his is perhaps the strongest as the bronze driver in that combination to put them in a position to get to where they are. Anders Fjordbak was in quite a bit of action inside the top 10 on quite a few occasions today. And then Boccolacci's got the hero stuff going on at the end, but full credit to that team to get themselves into that position.
21 minutes to go, and the top three are lapping within fractions of a second of each other. 2:03.3, 2:03.5, 2:03.8 for Augusto Farfus. He's actually been closed down now by Will Brown and Max Hesse, who are coming. They're about a second and a half behind the third place. That third step on the box, guys, is far from secure.
Well, and to that point, there's history around that too with Team MPC, because a couple of seasons ago, an MPC Audi with a bronze driver and two pros, one of them Christopher Haase, very close towards the end of the race, scored themselves a top three outright finish. So it is definitely not out of the equation for Will Brown to get car 55 onto the outright podium. And meanwhile, for Augusto Farfus, he is hoping that Dorian Boccolacci can engage with Maxime Martin for the lead of this race so he can draw himself nearer, because right now he's 4.2 seconds off the race lead, just drifting back a little bit from those two race leaders.
Can I rewind everybody back to the start of our coverage, in fact the start of our broadcast on radio as well from here on Thursday morning, when we said the bronze cars are bronze because of the drivers, not because of the potential performance levels of the cars. Two bronze class cars in the top five with drivers who are moving forward towards the front of the field. Paid off absolutely perfectly. That means, by the way, that they have done their strategy and that their bronze drivers have, Garth Tander, done exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Heralded the fact that if they play their cards right, keep themselves clean, keep themselves on the lead lap using whatever methods they need, whether it was the wave right or just outright speed, that if they put the right driver in the car at the end of the race, there are red hot chances to get on the podium. High-class racing. They've done 15 pit stops to get themselves to where they are right now on the second step of the podium. So a whole lot of strategy, topping off with fuel, buying track position in the mid part of the race, where we didn't actually take a whole lot of notice of what they were up to, and then all of a sudden they cleansed themselves to the top of the field, and Boccolacci has done everything he needed to do to keep himself there.
Yeah, and they've done everything right in making sure as well that they've got their fastest driver in the car at the very end, and a pro driver who absolutely has belief that he can go with the best in the world, and that's who he's racing at the moment. So Maxime Martin, a guy who's won all of the big GT races on the planet. Dorian Boccolacci is a one-make Porsche champion and touched on some of his success behind him. Repco Supercars champion Will Brown is one of the best in this part of the world. And then the young gun from BMW, Max Hesse. They're the two leaders. That's Farfus. That's Will Brown. 1.1 seconds the difference between the two. Is there a twist in the tail for the Audi team? Let's jump on board with Will Brown and a tour of Mount Panorama, Garth Tander. That's a lap with Will Brown in the JMAC Racing Audi. Had a big moment through his New South Wales corner, and last time by, Bathurst actually extended that margin back out to 1.3, 2042, place at 2045 for the man from Toowoomba. Max Hess is not far behind this group either, so there's still very much an opportunity. 3 cars playing it out for the final step on the podium. 1.7 seconds is the leading margin, and this race is traditionally decided by tiny margins. In the last 4 years, the winning margins have been 8.7 seconds in 22, 0.9 seconds in 2023, and an utter thriller, 2.6 seconds for Porsche in 2024, and a relatively massive 10.2 seconds after 12 hours of flat-out racing and 4.5 hours of green flag running in 2025. So traditionally tight margins and still less than 2 seconds between our 2 leaders. 15 minutes remain. That is it. That is the leading group of cars. So 1 and 2, and there is Farfus and Max Hesse closing on Will Brown. Can the BMW get past the Audi and then maybe go out after the quote-unquote factory car just a little bit further up the road?
So the Red Grove driven number 100 Penrite Mercedes, the Grove racing car, going back out. They will get in place actually in 1 lap's time, both in class and overall, as they'll go past the retired Chevy Corvette Earl Bamber.
The other consideration to take into account is this is the opening round of 5 in the Intercontinental GT Challenge, of which Mercedes-AMG are a manufacturer, and they've not had success for a long time in IGTC, which comprises this race, a major enduro at Suzuka, Indianapolis, Spa, and the Nürburgring, fairly famous, well-known racetracks. Merck's last IGTC win was the Golf 12 Hours in the Middle East in 2023. The team to do it was GMR, because of course it was. And the drivers in that car were Maro Engel, Mick Renier, who are here this weekend in that car, and with them was Lucas Stolz that weekend. So this could be a very, very big moment for Mercedes-AMG, who, while they've had a lot of success here at Mount Panorama in recent years, from an IGTC point of view, that would be a massive box to tick. They loaded the deck with 10 cars, but they have played it extremely well.
You've got 2 in the top 10, but you only need 1 to win.
Need 1, correct.
Yeah.
One of those 2 is right where you want it to be, right at the head of the field. The gap, Maxime Martin back to Darian Boccolacci. There it is on screen, and that's what 1.4 seconds looks like as they head down Conrod Straight. The gap back to Augusto Farfus, 4.3 seconds. Here's the battle pack with the wounded Shulgun on, battling Daniel Serra and Ricardo Fella. This is 7th, 8th and 9th.
Sarah still hasn't been able to get past that wounded EMT, albeit with Jill Goonon, who is very difficult to pass. Is this the opportunity? Gets a good run through the chase, goes to the outside. Is he going to get racing room? No, but that's fine. He's going to lose a position actually as Ricky Fella in the black and silver car goes through for Bamber Racing. Again, proving that if you're going to make a dive, you've got to make it stick.
Yeah. So Fella tried to go around the outside at the chase. Get up pretty early in the morning to do that Jules Guenon. I don't think I've ever seen anyone go around the outside of Jules Guenon. So this is the battle between Brown and Hesse as they make their way up to the cutting, and Hesse finds himself on the outside. You don't want to be wide there. We've seen plenty of cars carry too much speed through the kink, run wide and get the wall at the cutting, and he pulls in behind Will Brown's Audi. So they both live to fight another day. Just over 11 and a half minutes left in this one. I feel like this spot inside the top 5 is the one that is still up for argument.
Well, they've dropped back just a little bit now from Bathurst. As soon as they've started fighting, of course, that's cost them a wee bit of time. And it was just under a second. It's got up to 2.1 seconds as Augusto Bathurst is by no means coasting. 2:03.9 last time around, 2:03.8 for the second place. Dorian Boccolacci and Maxime Martin in the lead with a 2:03.7. Top three are 6 seconds apart. There is a second and a half between first and second.
Happy wave from Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello, who should be finished on the podium. He's 5th from 7 starts at this racetrack in this race, which is just an amazing strike rate.
Creating video content is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I use it to run our video production pipeline. I use ClickUp AI to generate creative video concepts and scripts in seconds. With ClickUp's calendar view, I can schedule every step of the production process, from pre-production to final delivery, so we always hit our deadlines. When it's time to collaborate, my team and I use ClickUp Docs to brainstorm ideas and finalize scripts in real time. And with automations, once our video task is completed, it automatically tags in our performance marketing team to grab the asset and push it live. ClickUp makes work easy, from brainstorming your next big idea to delivering high-performing video campaigns. Click the link below to start your free trial today.
The third in the bronze class, and Renault is not letting him get away. 2.3 seconds sounds an awful lot, but round here, that is literally one braking point missed. Hindhaugh driving the car brilliantly from 7th position. And also, we haven't talked about Max Martin for a little while. What a story this is. This whole team didn't have the best starts to the weekend. Limited amount of running on Friday, and they lost some. They were chasing a setup, chasing a power issue. Didn't get the car qualified. If they win this, they will have come from 29th position. This race has never been run from lower than 11th, and that was only once. The rest of the time, it's been the top 7.
Correct. It would be the furthest back Bathurst 12 Hour has ever been won. There's so many storylines around this. GMR have been coming here and trying to win this race for quite some time now. Hong Kong-based team. They're really a sort of transatlantic and even trans-Pacific team that race on all corners of the world, sort of no fixed address. But they are incredibly competitive, and every time they've showed up to Mount Panorama, they have had a shot at contending for this race. And a lot of that has been down to Mauro Engel, who will be sitting down in pit lane. I'm not sure if he's been sighted for a while. His 10th visit to this place in the race.
What an opportunity also for Maxime Martin to be in the car at the end here and deliver.
There he is.
Under pressure. So it's not done yet. Still 8 minutes left in this one. But with the red flag and the lost time, you would expect the strategy would have had Mauro in the car. But they've had to pivot. And Maxime Martin has been given the job to bring the car home, and he's delivering now. So the gap first to second, just over 2 seconds. So Martin starting to get up the road a little bit, just by a bit of buffer and a bit of safety with just south of 8 minutes left.
About 20 minutes ago, Ben Barniger took the McLaren number 95 into the pit lane. It hasn't re-emerged yet, so not the end to the event that they were looking for. And a final pit stop from Ryder Quinn, who's coming in the number 101 Mercedes, just about to turn its 250th lap in the bronze category. And it will surprise you not at all to know that the last 5 laps or so, in fact less than that, the last 3 laps or so are going to be done by Tony Quinn.
Absolutely right.
Totally agree.
So it should. I'll tell you what, they're making a documentary about this, and a colleague of ours, Greg Rust, is helping piece it all together with Ben Sale and a very small team. It is going to be compulsory viewing when it drops, because the story they are going to tell over the course of the day is pretty remarkable. The course of the weekend, just amazing stuff.
Nice stuff by Tony there. Started to turn in, had a car alongside him, lifted off, Got the front end of the car back, would have been easy to panic there. Another lap completed, 6.5 minutes to go. The tension is nigh on unbearable, not just for the leaders, but for the bronze leaders. Second place, Bogolacci across the line, 2 seconds the gap, 2:03.8, 2:03.7. Let's wait for Farfus. Augusto, in the form of his life, the Brazilian.
4-1 for Farfus in the BMW, so not able to go with the two leaders.
No. The next generation of Farfus racers already underway. Vicky, his daughter, a highly respected karter, and picked up by the Iron Dames organisation. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, her birthday is always around Le Mans, so Augusto's greatest issue is he never gets to spend her birthday with him because he's at Le Mans racing. So he said, I have to win Le Mans for Vicky as a birthday present, which I think is lovely.
Pro-Am class still being led by car 45. I'd love to get a time in the lead stack for them when this all washes out, because it's been a big chunk of today's race, and they've also worked their way up to 12th outright. Dylan O'Keefe, the Victorian, behind the wheel. So they've been really nice. Brett Hobson and Garth Walden have done sterling work there looking for a Pro-Am class. We're worth pointing out that that car was originally entered in the silver class, but they elected to bump themselves up a category because they wanted more competition. There weren't that many cars entered. Kerong Lee watching on. His teammate is in second position. The margin has crept out now over to 2 seconds for the first time in this race, in this final little battle to the flag. Porsche chasing down Mercedes-AMG. Both brands have won this race before. Mercedes-AMG on 3 occasions, Porsche on 2. And the Merc, it feels like a long time ago since 2023 when Sun Energy won their second race. Since then, Porsche and BMW have been at the front of the field.
So, thank you, Nathan, our boss in the truck, for confirming my very rudimentary base 60 maths earlier on.
Here we go.
Max Hesse having a look.
4th position. Looks around the outside at Griffin's Bend. Will Brown has had plenty of laps around this place. Knows how to play it.
Smart by Brown. He pulled it right, stopped the entry speed so he didn't overrun the entry and end up out of position leaving turn 2.
So just to confirm, that countdown clock, I mentioned this about half an hour, a little bit more ago, at 3:36.543, that is to 45 minutes past the hour. And that would be the 12 hours up. Race control will give us a last lap board after 43. So 43 plus 1 lap is the calculation.
It's 2 or 3 laps depending on when this gets to the line. Correct, essentially. About to complete 260 laps of Mount Panorama. Margin 2.1 seconds, and it's just crept back a little bit. Porsche has been very good across the top relative to the GMR Mercedes. Thunders through the Scuderia Auto Art chase, the baritone of the AMG and the howl of the Porsche, and 2 normally aspirated cars, which is a rarity in motorsport these days. First and second, the turbocharged BMW in 3rd position. So 3 different brands in the top 3, 4 in the 4 when you count Will Brown in the Audi. So 2 laps remaining in the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour. And it's an utterly compelling story, this winning team, that have been coming to try and win this race for years and haven't quite got there. But more so the drivers. We talked about Maxi Martin and Maro Engel. We didn't talk about Nick Grenier. Grenier, the Canadian driver who first came here as an AMG driver with 888 Race Engineering and has just been rock solid. But he's not the third wheel on this date. He has been a massive contributor to their success today.
Leader heading into going up the mountain through the Ford cutting and now across the top. I'm just checking for any traffic that may yet be in the way. The next car along the road, which has made up that position, I said it would, is Brenton Crowe in the number 100 Penrite AMG, 27th position now, and he is just heading through the dip now as the leader, through the S's rather, as the leader comes down through the dip.
There's Meguiar. In the foreground, in the background was Maro Engel. A penny to Maro Engel. So I was just thinking the same thing. That must have
Been here in this position before, not this deep into the race, but certainly been in race-winning positions in the past. And he will not believe it is true until this car crosses the line.
There would be an argument you could make that say the team should have won in 2023. There was a controversial moment right here in the closing stages that he was involved in. They ultimately finished third. The year prior to that, he was mighty in the closing stages, and he and Jules Gounon produced an absolute masterclass for the final couple of hours of this race in really challenging conditions. He finished second there. That was his best result.
Control attention of the teams. The leader has commenced the last lap.
Confirming the leader has commenced the last lap.
A smidge over 6 kilometres remain for Team GMR for Mercedes-AMG. The margin is 1.7 seconds to Dorian Boccolacci. The young Frenchman, what a drive this has been. And Augusto Farfus, Valentino Rossi, and his car was second last year. Another podium would be a remarkable result for Team WRT. Not a bad way to defend their Bathurst win last year.
4 different manufacturers in the top 4, with AMG, Mercedes, Porsche, BMW and Audi being those 4 manufacturers, 4 German marques. Of course, the best of the Ferraris in 9th position. Daniel Serra and Ricardo Feller combined have still not been able to get past the slightly hobbled number 75 of Jules Gounon. Question a story of what might have been the number 75 car, and so many stories like that up and down the timing and scoring monitor. Big delay in the middle, Craill, but it seemed like everybody came back refreshed. The tyre situation was resolved at that point, and then we got the Mercedes out in front. The BMW M safety car made the fuel calculations a lot easier, but this has not, Richard Craill, been a simple race.
It hasn't, and the debrief will go long into the night in Bathurst Town. But what we can tell you that should they survive the final few corners, we're about to welcome 3 first-time winners to the Bathurst Club. The margin closes down, a bit of show at the end. 1 corner to go for Maxime Martin and for Mick Grenier. And finally for Maro Engel, GMR and Mercedes-AMG triumph on the mountain. And there are 3 new first-time winners in the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour.
High-class racing in second. Fabulous finish for a car that was off the lead lap earlier on, and they take the bronze class in style. It's WRT again on the podium in third, ahead of the number 55 Audi, Will Brown anchoring that home. And a little word as well, I think, Garth, for the guys at Team KRC and that green BMW, second in the bronze class.
Well, it started green, it ended the race black with a lot of new panels on it. So just want to point out the 2 cars that finished first and second started this race 29th and 30th from the 15th row of the grid, plus 28 spots for both those cars. That's a mega effort.
It's the furthest back anyone has ever won this race from at Mount Panorama. GMR is celebrating on the right of the screen. On the left, we're about to see the Pro-Am winner. Little team from Sydney that could, with Mike Sheargold, who's the Ram Motorsport component of this, watching on from the sidelines, cheering his boys home. It's a class victory, a Bathurst victory for Garth Walden, for Brett Hobson and for Dylan O'Keefe, who brings the 45 car across the line. The Mercedes-AMG wins outright and wins the bronze class as well. Pro-Am class as well, so bronze going the way of Porsche. 3 different manufacturers in the 3. Audi home in 4th place. They might be retiring the Audi R8 at some point in the near future, but it is still a very handy GT3 machine.
Waiting to see the number 101 of Tony Quinn coming to the Scuderia Auto Art Chase right now, and the family story has the happy ending. 3 generations brought together by a stalwart supporter of motor racing in this area of the world. They are going to the pit wall, as they rightly should. The most pristine looking car crosses the line in 18th position, and Tony Quinn has the legacy and has the memories he wanted.
Finished in the top 20 in a world-class field. That is an incredible story. Team GMR for Mercedes-AMG. They win the Intercontinental GT Challenge opener as well. And Maxime Martin, it would be easy to argue this could be the biggest win of his career. At 37 years of age, the Belgian driver has brought the Mercedes-AMG home and has won Bathurst with Mick Grenier. And Maro Engel, on his 10th attempt at conquering Mount Panorama, has finally got the Bathurst win he so desired. This place has thrown everything at him, and on occasion he's thrown everything at it as well, and it's paid off today. What a race, what a day at the office that has been. Mercedes-AMG win the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour high-class racing. Kerong Lee, Anders Fjordback and Dorian Boccolacci second outright and win the bronze class. Augusto Farfus, Raffaele Marciello, who scores his 5th podium finish from 7 attempts. And Valentino Rossi, who turns 47 tomorrow. He said if he won, he'd shout the town. Maybe he'll just shout the bar instead for a podium finish. The Pro-Am winners finished 13th outright in the end, with Dylan O'Keefe behind the wheel, just behind last year's winners. And getting to the end, 26 laps down, the Invitational class winning IRC GT car got to the line, and they will win the Invitational class. Let's go and celebrate this one. Shay Adam is with our winners.
Oh, this is going to be a good one to celebrate, guys, because this is 3 first-time winners. They want to jump up on the car and do a group photo, and you know what? They've deserved it, so we're going to let them do this first. Mick Grenier, Maxime Martin, and Maro Engel, your Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hours winners for 2026. Amazing drive from all 3 of these guys, and you can feel the emotion coming through. Now, I want to start with Max because he brought the car to the checkered flag. You got a little bit of a joke there from Raffaele Marciello saying, now you can stop crying about this one. How much does it mean that you're finally with tears of joy in your eyes crossing the finish line?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, to be honest, starting the weekend, I don't think we expected to win. But the last restart, I was just patient. They were quite hot, and yeah, at the end, my teammates, the team, we did 0 mistakes, fantastic race, and first victory for us 3. So thank you, everyone.
And for Mick Grenier, when we talked at the end of practice 1, it wasn't looking so good. Did you ever think this was going to be possible?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we would be in the game, but we never expected that, honestly, especially after qualifying, because we had something with the engine, and then we started, I think, almost from last. So we knew it would be a tough race, but we had some really good strategy call. Maro and Maxime were amazing, as always. It was a big fuel game the whole race, but we did it, so super nice.
Yes, you.
Noi di Pixar Printing non abbiamo inventato la stampa, ma con i nostri manifesti il tuo messaggio diventa protagonista. Scegli Pixar Printing, il leader europeo della stampa.
And it's every bit as special as I dreamt it would be. It's amazing. It's not at all the weekend and the run plan we had planned. Lots of improvisation, starting obviously with qualifying, but the end result, we won the race. So so happy. Big thank you to Mercedes-AMG team, GMR, to my fantastic teammates. They drove their hearts out, Mick and Maxime, and it feels really good.
It's time to celebrate and make it official. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maxime Martin, Maro Engel, and Mick Grenier, Bathurst winners.
Records broken right throughout. The winners coming from the furthest back in the field ever, first and second, both coming from the 15th row of the grid. we've had more cars on the lead lap at the end than ever before, 13 for those of you who are counting, and we've had the first ever 3-generational driver squad from one family getting a finish in the top 20. I think Tony Quinn might have to add another chapter to his book, 0 to 60, and just get that legacy written down. Incredible, Grillsy.
I think this is another book in its entirety.
Just for this race?
Yeah. Mercedes-AMG Team GMR celebrate the 4th closest racing finish in Bathurst 12-hour history at 1.03 seconds. So pretty sporty race. Record 3-day attendance of over 55,000 this weekend here at Mount Panorama. 13 cars on the lead lap, as you said, which is by far an event record. On the flip side, it's the shortest Bathurst 12-hour in terms of laps and distance run since 2015.
Oh, wow.
Where we had about 300,000 safety car periods. So that lengthy 54-minute race suspension in the middle of the day. Maro's going to celebrate with everybody in Bathurst tonight. He has been working towards this moment.
Maybe he's going to shout the town. He might be shouting the town. It seems a long time ago in some respects when we got things underway in the darkness this morning. It was the usual bun fight up Mountain Straight. I'll say what you said last year. Guys, it's a 12-hour race.
Yeah, they didn't seem to care, did they? And it was on very, very early. And as the dawn woke, there was dramas for the Ford. Yes, there was a Ford Mustang in this race. It lasted about 3 laps. And for Chris Meese, unfortunately, collected some wildlife in the early hours. This one, they got away with somehow. And it was the story of the day in some respect. There were many close calls, some of them not quite so close.
Yeah, the IRC car losing its rear wing. But the racing was incredible. Corvette here for the first time, bringing a couple of cars, and the Pro car right up there with the BMWs. WRT defending their win from last year, had both of their cars at the sharp end of the field. And, of course, Valentino Rossi doing a great job as always. Then the big accident at the top of the hill brought out the BMW M safety car. That brought things back together, and a bizarre incident for the 222, which had been on pole position.
Heart-wrenching stuff for Thomas Randall, who was distraught after that moment that cost the 222 a shot. They kind of clawed their way back in, but ultimately it would be for naught. That was James Golding, an enormous impact on the run-up towards McPhillamy Park. Having already had to crash this car earlier on in the race, so they were on the comeback trail. James was A-OK. Then this was arguably the biggest moment of the race in terms of an incident. Tapped around into a spin following a race restart was the 79 car, and then Craft Bamboo Racing, Rolf Aron, the Estonian driver, was behind the wheel. Big contact, and we can confirm that Rolf was taken to a local hospital for precautionary checks, but he climbed out of that car under his own stand.
And Maro Engel squeaked through by about 4 millimetres on the back of that stranded car, and that was to become very, very important. The great run by the number 2 Corvette came to an end at the top of the mountain when something broke at the back of Earl Bamber's car. That was another safety car. And then the Penrite team, the number 100, they'd had issues before, but they were going well. And more AMG on AMG action than you could have hoped for. Looked like the AMG GT3 Cup at one stage. And then the moment of the race in some ways, battling at the sharp end of things, brings out the late race safety car through, sneaks to 32, then left out that WRT car and didn't take the pit stop. It led on the restart, Gilles Gounon down the inside, there's contact, and through nipped the eventual winning car. Max Martin took the opportunity. Thank you very much indeed. Dorian Boccolacci also going through, and Augusto Farfus into 3rd position. That is where the top 3 positions were decided.
And from there, it was just pressure from Dorian Boccolacci. And he got within a second just at the end of that, but nothing could stop Mercedes-AMG Team GMR, Mick Grenier, Maxime Martin, and Maro Engel, who finally breaks through for a Bathurst victory. 3 first-time winners will celebrate on the mountain.
2026 Meguiars. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the 2026 Meguiars Bathurst 12-hour podium. In third place for BMW Team WRT, it's Augusto Farfus, Raffaele Marciello, and Valentino Rossi. In second place for High Class Racing, Caron Lee, Anders Fjornbach, and Dorian Boccolacci.
Good stuff.
And in first place, Mercedes-AMG Team GMR, Maro Engel, Mick Grenier, and Maxime Martin. Presenting the medals for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, it's Series Manager Abby Hay. Presenting the third place trophies, Shane Rudzis, Bathurst 12-hour event director. Presenting second place trophies, Bathurst Mayor Robert Taylor. Presenting the first place trophies and YSL winners watches, Bruce Morrison from Meguiar's. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your podium for the 2026 Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour podium. Let the celebrations begin.
As the champagne flows from above, what a day it's been, the Meguiar's. Bathurst 12-hour, Shay, Garth, time to dissect what's been an awesome day. The celebrations happen literally above us right now. How much fun was that?
Oh man, what a race. This always delivers. But for me, the biggest thing, what could have been and what is coming for next year, because the number of interviews that you and I both had where people said, I just got to come back. I feel like that's what I heard more throughout the day.
Absolutely. Garth, this race went through a bit of a lull after COVID. It hit a bit of a speed bump. Boy, is it back right now.
Yeah, 24 cars here last year, 34 cars here this year. Chad's even getting a bit of champagne on it. A massive lift in the number of cars that turned up and what quality cars came to race today. Great to have the Ford Mustang here for its first start at Mount Panorama, to have Corvette here for their first start. They're going to come back bigger and stronger next year.
Yeah. How about some highlights from the day? I know there was a lot of crazy stuff happening early on. Oh no, we've lost the bottle. It's a goner. Drop the catch. There might be another one coming here. Yeah, that's how you do it. It's just, we've had enough drama today on the mountain before we need any more crashing going on beneath us right now.
Yeah, I think we've got enough damage. We don't need more champagne bottles coming down on us.
I mean, that instant for the Ford this morning with Christopher Mees set the tone for what was going to be a pretty crazy race.
Yeah, there's plenty that took place. Real shame for the Mustang to go out after 20 minutes. Never got a chance to really get going. And then those big crashes that we saw across the top of the mountain, firstly for James Golding in the BRM run Audi, and then that moment between the Tsunami RT and the Craft Bamboo Mercedes down into Forest Elbow that ultimately had that red flag for just short of 60 minutes while we cleaned the track up. But after the red flag, when we got going again, it was on.
Yeah, and how about the last restart? Oh my gosh, we built it up, and it lasted 200 meters.
It was insane between Kelvin van der Linde and Jules Gounon, both former race winners, both guys who knows how important it is to have a clean car. Both of them sacrificed the clean car. And you know how difficult it is to drive with any sort of damage. They knew 40 minutes to go. Their races were over.
Yeah, well, they knew that track position was going to be king right there with 40 minutes to go. That's why Kelvin was defending so hard, and that's why Jules went the big send straight away, because he knew that if van der Linde got into a rhythm and was able to defend for the rest of the race, it was going to be a real challenge to get past that BMW. A shame that we saw two of the real guns effectively get taken out of the fight right at the end. But what about the two cars that finished first and second? Yeah. First started from 29, second started from 30th. What an epic fight, man.
Well, I think we got one more trophy to hand out, the Australian Tourist Trophy upstairs. There is a trophy with a bit of prestige behind it. Certainly plenty of history there as well. And I love that they've been able to behest this event with that trophy as well. That seems like a nice combination. And Dave Stewart from Motorsport Australia is up there to hand that one out, Garth. So plenty of history being brought into an event that's still very much making its way in the GT3 era.
Yeah, it's still in its infancy in the GT3 era, but it's growing in stature year on year. You only have to look at the quality of the teams and drivers that are starting to come to this event after the COVID period, and it's starting to build. The manufacturers are really understanding that the racing here is important, and they will get stronger and stronger. We mentioned Ford here with one car, Corvette here with two. Ford are definitely coming back with more than one car next year, and it'll be great to see Corvette come back too. BMW have supported this race for so long. AMG Mercedes with 10 cars this weekend. It continues to grow in stature and importance on the world stage.
Now, what a way this is to lead into what's going to be a huge week of motorsport here in Australia. Round one of the Repco Supercars Championship. It begins under lights, Sydney Motorsport Park. It's the Dunlop Sydney 500 racing on Friday night. That's free for the fans here to come and attend locally in New South Wales. You able to catch this on Fox Sports and Kayo across the weekend as well. Not to mention our international viewers, of which there's been plenty on the live stream. Happy to watch this on Superview. Sadly, you're heading back to the States, so you won't be there, but you can catch that one on Superview show.
And you know I will be. I've got my subscription ready to go.
Garth, it's been a lot of fun here. We love the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Time to pack it up.
Certainly a great weekend. If that's how we're starting our racing here in Australia this year, I can't wait for next week.
Thank you to all of our brand new TV crew and those who are sticking with us for 2026. Thanks to all of the viewers that have joined us from Australia and around the world. Well done to John and to Craill and to the team alongside me. Well done to Brian joining us this weekend. Thank you for watching Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Man, that felt like it was 24 hours. We fit as much drama into that one as we possibly could. We'll catch you here next year at Bathurst.
This is where the world comes to race. And for 2026, Australia's International Enduro bursts into life at Mount Panorama.
Oh, big drivers. Oh, Reynolds around. Oh!
Finally for Maro Engel, GMR and Mercedes-AMG triumph on the mountain.
Copy, mate. All right, Brian, we're just going to start. All right, let's go.
We'll continue on the podium celebrations for the 2026 Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour. It's the Intercontinental GT Challenge Independent Cup podium. In third place for Kayo Sports Tempesta by ARGT, it's Ryan Wood, Christopher Froggatt, Jonathan Hui, and Lorenzo Patrese.
She's come back to do trophies. She's got trophies. We'll do them all.
In second place, 75 Express, Kenny Bull, Jules Gannon, and Lucas Stoltz. And in first place for High Class Racing, Carol Lee, Anders Fjornbach, and Dorian Boccalacci. And presenting the trophies for the Intercontinental GT Challenge Independent Cup, it's Series Manager Abby Hay.
I ended up missing you today as well. I didn't even know you were doing this. I didn't know you were doing this.
There you go.
I just found out. I thought it was meant to be Chad.
It was originally, but Nate called me last night. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to do it because Chad's going to be down there hosting." All right.
Lucky you stayed. Proper track Chad tries to be another day now.
Nate goes, "Should we tell Garth?" I said, "Don't worry about it."
Ladies and gentlemen, that is your podium for the Intercontinental GT Challenge Independent Cup winners. Now time for the celebrations.
Peugeot 308, il re della strada. Con Peugeot Formula 8, tu da 188.
This is no rush.
John.
So the same ones.
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to just pop it down there, I'm going to get some walk on me. You go down again. We're going to do this again. Right, don't get comfortable. You go put your stuff down the end, because you got to. And then literally
Going third again.
4 in third, yes.
Almost where just give them a bit more time to get their stuff set.
This is the easy bit. I don't know the broadcast.
It's live streams.
It's good.
Medals? Just trophies?
It's time for the podium for our bronze class here this afternoon. In third place for Zigo Sport Tempesta by ARG GT, it is Ryan Wood, Christopher Frogart, Jonathan Way, and Lorenzo Petresi. In second place, Team KRC, Tony Ruan, Maxim Ustan, and Max Hessa. And in first place, High Class Racing, Caron Lee, Anders Fjornbach, and Dorian Boccolacci. Presenting third place trophies, Shane Rudsis, Bathurst 12-hour event director. Presenting second place trophies, Bathurst Mayor, Robert Taylor. And presenting our first place trophies, Bruce Morrison from Meguiar's. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your bronze class podium for the 2026 Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Let's spray the champagne.
One category didn't win. There's no win. So we'll take the trophy.
Look over here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Zigo Sport. Yeah. John Moore? Ed Moore?
Four on third, four on second.
Guys ready? Yeah. Brian, you ready?
All good. Yep, all good.
It's time for the podium presentations for the YSL Pro-Am class podium. In third place for Volante Rosso Motorsport.